Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails, a Grand Arena story. Now this, my friends, is a crazy episode. I've got to beat an ultimate Ray in order to win. I've got to uh, win if I want to get a perfect record for the season. It's the finals and there's just a lot going on. So first, I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons. You guys are amazing. Really appreciate all of your support. So this match is against a dude named Petro or Petro. I'm going to call him Petro, just to be disrespectful. Not that my opponent deserves disrespect at all. We're in the final match of our current championship. I'm at 11-0. Going into this match, I was really hoping that I would be able to beat my opponent, but they do have a Galactic Legend Ray with the ultimate, and that was really going to be difficult to overcome because I haven't beat an Ultimate Ray yet, or at least hadn't up to this point. So their relics do have me pretty destroyed at the high end. Our overall gear is actually very close. I do have more Zetas than my opponent, so that kind of makes up for some of the relic disparity. And then our speed, I actually have better speed mods than my opponent. They still had some very good ones, but not as good as mine. And finally, our lifetime banners, they're actually pretty close. My opponent has enjoyed a lot of success in Grand Arena, and they even have more undersized wins than me. Not an opponent that I can just sleep on, certainly. So one more time, I do want to show you guys my defenses before we jump into the match to provide more valuable context. And my opponent has a really strong roster and had kept everything for offense in the past in Grand Arena history. I decided I wanted to try something that might throw them off a little bit, so I put Padme in with General Skywalker. I was hoping that they would just jump in and just kind of assume it was Jedi Anakin. But we'll see if that worked. I put Night Sisters on defense to draw out their Padme because they usually used Padme to take out Night Sisters. And then I put Shaak T and the clones in the back because General Skywalker was with Padme, and then just some bounty hunters. So I was really hoping that would kind of confuse them a little bit. And the person who was confused, however, going into the match was me, because they did not keep everything for offense besides Galactic Ray. They have Galactic Ray here, Ultimate Ray, whatever. They also have General Skywalker and his clones in the same zone, and then a fully stocked and really fast Darth Revan team as well. Some Geonosians and a Shaak T clone weird team. My opponent had placed their Galactic Ray team in a zone that forced me to basically just jump right in. And so I did just that. There was no point in delaying it, just needed to see. Now, I'd practiced against this exact team comp with L3 and Holdo before, and it's a really tricky one because they taunt so much, and it's just so hard to keep their taunts off of them, and you need to be able to focus on Rey. You need to be able to fracture her, and so I'm taking my Supreme Leader Kylo. He does not have his ultimate, and the goal here is just to do a bunch of damage, get them to their half health point so they waste their invulnerability. And then if you can fracture Rey, that is really important. I'm trying here in this match to just take out the side characters as much as possible. And in one AoE, you see that Supreme Leader was able to just take out 3 of the characters after working on them a little bit. I'm trying to get his siphon numbers up to the point where even Ultimate Ray really struggles to take him out. And, eventually you see that she has her ultimate up. We can't really prevent that, so we're just trying to give him as many turns as possible so he can get his siphon number up. And that siphon number is really important because it increases his base stats and makes it difficult for Galactic Ray to go. Now, Thrawn could have done his fracture move there while she was in her trance or whatever, but I kind of thought like maybe that would make her not come out of her ultimate and I would just like stand there hitting her. But Eventually, you can see I was able to, after she took out almost my whole team randomly at the end, I was able to get 48 banners. And one thing I do just want to point out, even though the video is over, and an exciting faction, that whole team is designed to just give as many turns to Supreme Leader Kylo as possible. That's what I discovered was the key, even though his kit kind of indicates that he does not want that. So the next match up, I don't have General Skywalker available, which means I need to take out their General Skywalker, and I needed to keep my Watt for other things, for other reasons, and really this is a pretty good counter anyways. I have about an 80% success rate with my Commander Luke, especially against slower squads, and this was not a super fast, super quickly modded General Skywalker team. So, you don't do anything fancy. You don't stun Rex at the start. You don't stun ARC Trooper. You just go straight for the teeth against General Skywalker and try to get as many non-counter hits, counterable hits against him as possible. That includes C-3PO calling assists and doing specials, calling Chewie to assist. I taunted with Old Ben there because I thought that I would hopefully be able to shut down ARC Trooper before he could dispel him a second time. So once we took out fives, then I'm just trying to we want to take out Rex as quick as we can. I know that I can't take out all the clones, but look, ARC Trooper was about to take a turn there, and Han hit him with a basic to reduce his turn meter because we don't want him to shoot and dispel that taunt. We want Skywalker to kill Old Ben, and now we have all these buffs. We have a ton of turn meter, and 3PO managed to call an assist and almost just took down General Skywalker on his own. And now the goal is just to take these clones out as fast as possible while preserving a stun on Chewie and Han so that they can stun Skywalker and just preserve as much health and protection. Now, I apparently did not need to get a stun off there, but 55 banners is pretty good. I'll always take that. You usually end up with a few less than that, but I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth whatsoever. Despite the Trojans saying the same thing and getting completely manhandled by people. Now, I love this. My opponent put a Phoenix and a really weak Phasma squad in the back, just kind of assuming, because no one had ever beat their Galactic Ray before. Not in the whole Grand Arena history that I saw, like no one had beat it. And so, of course, they would put a weak squads in the back. But that gave me some good hope. But first, we need to take on this other really strong zone up top. They have Darth Revan up there. I happen to have my full Darth Revan team, and I don't think I'll need, at this point, I don't think that I'll need my Bastila for anything. They don't have General Grievous on defense, in fact. So the way I've learned to do this lately, you put Shaak, you put on everyone, and then Bastila follows it up with a Shaak of her own, and then you do some AoEs, and you can see that there's Death Mark now on their own Darth Revan, and we can just one-shot him, and then we kind of got to just go targets of opportunity here as we can. Malak, you always want to save him for last, because he's Malak, and he's tough to kill, and you want to be able to just focus on him, but despite this whole team being very nearly as fast as mine, there's just a few speeds that were slower. You can see how important the speed advantage is, and I managed to get 57 banners against these guys. So I beat their top 3 meta teams with pretty decent banners. 48 isn't great, but it's a first-time win. And then against Skywalker 55, which is better than Skywalker could get it in the mirror match, in fact. And then we also had 57. So things keep looking up. And now we need to take out these Geonosians. They are going to be the next biggest threat to us. And you know, the Geonosians, you can see I'm looking here for Bastila, or for Barris, and I forgot that I put Barris on defense with the Padme team for whatever reason. I did that. So instead of replacing it with another Sith, you know, I looked at the squads available and everything, and I just decided, you know, why don't we just go undersize here, and we'll just see what happens. It would be nice to regain a banner. How, you know, my opponent is probably going to full clear me with one shots. Is my thought. If I can get good banners efficiency, then I think at this point I can win. So you can see the Geonosians are all way faster than any of my characters, and Nihilus got a turn only because he gains turn meter from them hitting Nihilus, or hitting Traya or Scion, I should say. And so honestly, there's not a whole lot of skill involved here. Eventually, you have Traya put Isolate onto the Brute, and then you can wait for an Annihilate, or you can wait till you get an AoE from Scion. The goal is to have them keep hitting Scion for a while until you get some really big ability going. But it only worked slightly. They eventually did just kill, or they kept hitting Sith Trooper as well, and I guess I was okay with that. I used Annihilate on Spy, actually, because I thought that the Spy's big hit was coming up, and I really didn't want to just lose a random character to Spy's spitefulness, frankly. Like, I've had that happen before where I've killed Brood Alpha, but then Spy's still alive and just takes me out. So I got 57 with Traya, and things were looking pretty good. And, you know, as a bit of foreshadowing, I will just say, like, things don't always look this good in this match. It started off extremely promising, and this next match, who knows what's going to happen in this match, but decided, bolstered by all of the hubris of beating all these top meta teams, decided to throw Nest in against these Galactic Republic characters. And so the theory here is she can resist everything. She can't really be debuffed. After looking at all of their potency and all of the different effects that they can have, Nest is probably not going to either die by one hit by any of these characters, and she is probably not going to even be debuffed in any way by any of these characters. So because Shaak T is constantly handing out so many buffs all the time, I figured Nest is actually a pretty good candidate to just, you know, this is Relic 7 Nest with 160% tenacity, but my Nest is probably a good candidate to just solo this team and try to regain a few of these banners. So jumped in, and it's tough to kill guys because Barris keeps healing them, so decided to try to focus down Barris here. And it's taking a little bit, but honestly, we're making some good progress. And remember, even if it's frustrating at first, every time one of these buffs expire, or maybe if they just exist, I always forget the condition for Nest, but one way or another, these buffs exist, and one way or another, her kit gains plus 2% crit damage every single time every time one of these buffs goes away, or it, you know, comes into being, whatever. And so all she has to do is be able to crit these guys, and you know, she doesn't necessarily even rely on counters, though those are nice. And you can see I slowly whittled this team down. I think I could have just sealed it there with a big hit and a stun against Shaak T, but of course Shaak T dodged, that dodgy minx, and now we're just in this endless loop here until Shaak T has the decency to die, and eventually that did happen. So kind of misled you guys. I said hubris at the start, and that implies that I'm going to fail immediately, and I didn't. 63 is pretty cool with Nest, and I don't get the opportunity to solo teams very often with her. And the ironic thing is, I think she could have soloed any of the 3 remaining teams, though that one was probably the scariest. So in the back, we have a negotiator, pretty standard team, nothing to really be that concerned about. I have my own negotiator, and I guess I threw in a screenshot of um, at some point I killed one of my shard mates threw in a really weak team just to hook everyone else up, and I got a kill with Tarkin, so hooray for more banners, I suppose. I'm already deep within Kyber, so not really that big of a deal, but now I have to decide. I have a Jedi Revan team. I have a ton of teams left because I thought that I was going to take 2 or 3 attempts on Galactic Ray to be able to get through. I didn't figure I'd be able to find a method through their Galactic Ray in one shot. So now we're working on other feats. We want to get I wanted to get as many as I could. This was going to steal banners potentially, but I'm taking 2 pilot droids here. That's the feat against this Phasma team. Phasma lead is just not that strong, and the supporting cast is not that strong. We're taking out Sith Trooper because even only at gear 12, this Sith Trooper is the biggest threat to this team. We don't want to lose the droids. I can't afford to lose the droids. That's 6 banners each, and that is a ton. So really, I took Jolie there just because he calls assists and he can, heal some. He can do some stuff. I had to make the choice here. Does Chopper want to taunt? And in the end, I decided no, very much no. I'd rather have them hitting other characters. I don't want them to hit T3, who's only gear 11, but if we can kind of disperse all the damage to the Jedi, then slowly over time we can just whittle these guys down. Now, I did make kind of a mistake with T3. I should have, and this comes from never using him, and also being kind of dumb, but I didn't want to dispel everyone. I wanted to debuff the whole team early, but that clearly didn't stick. The Red Trooper just dispelled it all, and what I should have done was wait with that dispel until First Order Stormtrooper taunted, because I was stuck behind this taunt for an inconveniently long amount of time. It really didn't change the outcome that much, but I think I could have played it a little bit cleaner. That does happen when you're just using characters that you never use. Like, I doubt I will ever use T3 with this Jedi Revan team again, though actually, come to think of it, it's kind of fun. He is Revan's droid, actually, so it's fun that he got a little bit of use with him. He's actually contributing to the overall speed of Grandmaster Yoda and Jolie as well. So 58 banners there. Honestly, probably could have ended up with like 62 banners if I had 3-manned it, but at this point I was thinking, man, it's going to be tough for my opponent to be as efficient as me, and I should probably just run up the score as much as I can in terms of banners, because I want to get as high a placement as possible in this championship. So this Phoenix squad took me a while to formulate a plan. I have Geonosians left, I have Troopers left. Could have destroyed this team in a lot of different ways, but I wanted to get max banners, and I also wanted to get this final feat, which was using Biggs and Wedge to be able to, in a squad that killed something. So we have Palpatine lead, and then we have Stormtrooper Han and Watt, and then a gear 12 guy and a gear 11 guy, so who were indifferently modded. So our primary focus, with Watt, I put the taunting tech onto my Relic 7 Stormtrooper Han, and then I wanted to get the big AoE off. I got everyone stunned except for my primary target, Sabine, who I really needed to take out first. Sabine will throw her grenades and take away all of my banners if I'm not careful. So once she was gone, luckily I was able to get enough turns. My opponent's Phoenix are not quickly modded, just clearly like C or D level mods, that not, this was just a throw-in team that they didn't expect to get anything from. But that was good, because my B-level mods on Biggs and Wedge let me focus down Sabine before she could throw her grenade and ruin my day. So once I was able to target or focus Kanan down, I mean, this is just such an uneven matchup. It's Phoenix, so they're disadvantaged anyways, unfortunately, even as much as I love them. And Palpatine, every time these Phoenix take a turn, they're rebels, and so they lose 20% of their max health. And yeah, it just wasn't fair. They couldn't target. The AoE could have hurt me from Sabine. Otherwise, they could only target Stormtrooper Han, who would just regenerate all the damage anyways, because he's a boss. And so that was pretty easy. Looking good coming into this final match. I haven't really ever lost a battle with my ships in Grand Arena. It's like something that gives me nightmares, but I haven't really ever done that. And you see that initially I put 5s in my starting lineup. That was a mistake, and so immediately I put Ahsoka in there and hit the send button. I even went undersized, so this is not a match that I am really ever afraid of, especially with a starting 5s. You guys saw that I got a 64 against this same team composition pretty recently, so feeling pretty good here. We're trying to just get Anakin's health down as much as we can so that Negotiator starts with Undying Loyalty or Unending Loyalty. Probably Undying because they don't die from anything once it's on. We don't want them to do their days, so that was good. Everyone has target lock. Everything's looking pretty good. So decided to heal up on Ahsoka. It's pretty standard for me. And then I called in 5s because they all have target lock. I'm going to do a huge hit on them. So I do, and it didn't really do that much, like almost no noticeable damage. And then Y-Wing comes in. Everyone's still mostly fine. And so I probably should have just dispelled and destroyed that Y-Wing. I wanted to take out Houndstooth first, though. So you see that Anakin is very close to death, but Y-Wing is in the way and taunting, so we have to just shoot it. And so everything's still looking pretty good. Houndstooth is a little low, and then Anakin got his AoE off. That wasn't fun. Y-Wing is still taunting. I can't do much damage to it. And then Plo comes in, and I think that's when I started muttering curse words that you shan't hear in this video. But Plo coming in is less than ideal. Like Ahsoka coming in, we can deal with that. Plo dispels everything, really like dispels all my damage, really. And then to top matters off, their Kenobi got their Y-Wing attack way earlier than they normally would here. I don't really know what, there's so much RNG involved in all of this, in all of these matches against Negotiator, and I just don't know. I don't understand their turn meter stuff as well as I should, I guess. And Y-Wing is still taunting. It's so annoying here. So I'm just hemorrhaging banners. I finally get my Y-Wing attack and manage to take out Y-Wing and Anakin. So now I know that even if I do fail this attack, I can hopefully finish these guys off with my Falcon fleet or something. But then Anakin died, and it's gonna be an ugly score regardless. So put in my final reinforcement, and we're just trying to focus down Plo. They get another reinforcement. I swear this Negotiator went. Well, I mean, I don't actually think this, but it felt like their Negotiator was just going way faster than mine. I know it can't have been, really, because mine was taking a lot of turns as well, but it just seemed like they were getting a lot more done than my own team. And so anyways, we're just trying to focus down Plo. Of course, they get Undying Loyalty, and then they get another Y-Wing attack. Man, I don't know if I've felt this frustrated about ships. It's been a very long time, because I feel like I mostly made good moves. Even watching this again, I'm like, man, I think I mostly did the right stuff, and yet I mean, I'm just not doing that well. So got another Y-wing bombing run that did almost nothing again. And of course, there's a taunt on Rex. I can't even finish fives off. And I ended up taking the loss, first ship's loss on this account in Grand Arena that I can remember anyways. I probably failed at a different time that I've just blocked out. But yeah, I of all the squads out of their top three meta teams that were on defense, of course I would fail with ships in the thing that I feel the most confident in, that I climb with every day. And I was just hoping that I could take my Falcon fleet in and finish this. Took as many ships as I thought I needed, so I'm still undersizing, but uh, frankly, I mean, we just need to finish this off. Banners at this point, they were going to be pretty good. Now I have to rely on maybe my opponent failing. So, you know, the Falcon fleet actually can finish off negotiator fleets pretty well as long as you get a lot of their best moves out of the way. Like if you need to two-shot a negotiator fleet and you don't have your own negotiator, you can always just send in a burner fleet, just send in Holdo or something, and one ship, let them kill that ship, and then have Falcon come in, and you can sometimes counter. So 44 banners, and I did get the full clear. 1895 is my final score. Happy enough with that, I guess, but super disappointing. It could have been 1915, which is obviously much stronger, and I would have assumed my opponent couldn't match that. You do see, though, I at least got a bunch of feats cleared, which always feels nice. Get a few more banners under that lifetime score. And so my opponent always attacks after their opponent. Like in Grand Arena history, in the last however many weeks, they always wait until their opponent is attacked. That's just their strategy. So that happened here again. You see that they one-shot my Night Sister squad for 59. Then they went for my Grievous squad. So they're going for top zone first, which is strange. They took out the Grievous squad, then Newt, and Malevolence. They weren't super efficient about all of that, but now you can see they're attacking my Padme, and I didn't realize it when I first took the screenshot actually, but they failed. You see on my Rey team, they did eventually just one-shot my Padme team. I assume they used Traya, though I could be wrong, who knows. And then they did manage to take out my Rey team as well. But once they failed against Rey, I was feeling okay. Like they would have to get really good scores in the back, and eventually that they did attack Shaak Ti, and Shaak Ti got a defense, and from there I learned that I won by quite a decent margin, in fact. So we can look at my defenses one more time. My opponent has said that they actually crashed against Rey. I don't know what team they used, but they crashed, so that I got lucky there. Certainly, that wasn't ideal for them at all. Got all these teams one shot. The Newt team is pretty big liability for me at this point. And then the one thing that I will point out, though, that even though my opponent did fail or crash against my Rey team, and I believe them, I still they failed on Shaak Ti, and I don't think they would have used whatever they used to crash on Jedi Training Rey. I don't think they would have used that on my Shaak Ti team, is my guess. So I still would have won this match regardless of the crash. And this is pretty cool, guys. I managed to go 12-0 this season. Pretty big deal for me. I feel super excited. I haven't gone undefeated since my third overall season, I think. The exhibition, and then it was like season 2 after the exhibition. So I haven't gone undefeated since then. I also, spoiler alert for the results for my alt account, I also went undefeated this season for that account in Division 3. It's a little bit easier in Division 3 for me for that account, but I had 2 perfect seasons in one season. So 12-0 and 12-0, pretty awesome. I just yeah, it's a great feeling to be able to be here. Probably never happens again to get both accounts to 12-0, but I'm just going to enjoy it while it lasts. So with that, folks, I'm also excited for a little bit of downtime in the off season, and I will just call it here. So thank you guys so much for watching, for following me through this season. It's been excellent. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails. Especially this season.